A couple days ago, I was chatting with my oncologist while getting my blood drawn for a ctDNA test, as one does. And we were talking about treatment, how it was going, and what the plan would look like going forward. And I said, well, we're a little over 6 months in, so I should be able to just put my head down and keep doing what I'm doing. And he stopped me and he said, buddy, you're like 8 months in. You are two-thirds of the way through this year. This is the home stretch. To which I kind of sat there and then I checked my calendar and I looked back at him and I verbatim said, well, time flies when you're doing drugs. And so, bad joke aside, that's what I'm here to talk about. I want to talk about the drugs that I've been doing, namely Braftovi and Mektovi, the PD-1 blockers that I'm taking for stage 4 metastatic melanoma. And we'll talk about some other drugs too, but we'll focus on those for now. I feel like this update is long overdue because when I started treatment, I was pretty diligent about chronicling my first day, first week, first month, first couple months. You get it. And then as time has gone on and I've settled into this routine, I've actually stopped giving updates because to me, it's seemingly pretty static. I mean, there have been some ups and downs in it, but I thought it would be a little redundant to just keep saying, okay, I'm doing the same shit and it's going pretty well. But at this point in time, there have been enough changes to kind of the regimen and my thoughts about PD-1 blockers in general that I think it's worthy of an update. And also, for those of you who have not watched my vlog in totality, which I expect is most of you because that would be ridiculous, PD-1 blockers. So Braftovi and then Mektovi, which is used to kind of offset it. In fact, I grabbed one of each, but this lighting is a little weird for seeing things. Braftovi are 75 milligrams in this little casing here, and Mektovi is this tiny orange pill here. And the main point is those pills are expensive as shit, and it's been long enough now that I'm just comfortable playing around with them at my desk, but that's an entirely different story. Anyway, PD-1 blockers essentially allow your immune system to recognize cancer cells better. I know if there's a medical professional watching this, you're just going to go like, oh my God, this guy's butchering it. But basically, PD-1 is a protein that is around cancer cells. PD-L1 is a ligand, and cancer uses their interaction to sneak past your immune system. Again, I am wholly butchering this, but the point is they let your immune system target cancer cells better. Okay, so what I started on was a regimen of taking 6 Braftovi with 3 Mektovi in the morning and then 3 Mektovi at night, so 6 and 6. That's what I started on. At some point in November, I got rhabdomyolysis, which is a side effect that means your muscles are breaking down and damaging your organs, and that there's a heightened risk of that via these, especially if you work out a lot, which I do. So I contracted that, and then we lowered my dose to 6 pills in the morning and 2 at night. So at this moment in time, I'm taking 8 pills overall. I'm assuming that the dosing and timing of taking Braftovi and Mektovi is a little bit variable based on, your height and weight or the level of disease you have or what your oncologist wants to achieve in the short and long term versus your diagnosis and prognosis. But most people that I've spoken to online have said that, yeah, they take either 6 and 3 or 4 and 2 in the morning and then either 2 or 3 pills at night to offset the side effects. Similarly, most people that I've spoken to and, my oncologist and the researchers I've talked to about these pills have said the side effects are, pretty significant, albeit maybe not as debilitating as immunotherapy, but they all covered sensitivity to light, skin reactions, nausea, vomiting, fatigue, kind of the usual suite of things that happens with cancer treatment, as well as the risk of getting rhabdomyolysis. That was something they brought up immediately to me because I knew I was an active athlete, and sure enough, I've gotten it once and have pushed limits on it a couple other times. And early on in my treatment, I was experiencing a pretty wide range of these side effects. As I was saying, when I would take the pills, about 20 to 30 minutes after, I would get some light sensitivity and like spots in my vision. And then I'd become nauseous for about an hour at night. And I would be hyper fatigued about once a week, I would say. And then my CK levels, which is creatine kinase, those were spiking consistently. And they continue to as I work out nearly every day. And a 37-year-old dude who works out that much will produce a lot of these. So I have a high baseline, according to my oncologist. That has not gotten me in too much trouble, except in November when I actually got a significant case of rhabdomyolysis and I had to rest for a couple weeks. But a funny thing happened after we reduced my dose on the way to 6 months or 8 months or however long it's been. I've kind of stopped getting daily side effects. Every once in a while, I'll experience something that I can recognize as, hey, this is a cancer side effect, which, by the way, I don't know how to explain this to someone who hasn't done cancer treatment. I don't want to make it sound that ridiculous. Maybe it's like when you're getting a virus and the symptoms come on fast and you're like, oh, I'm sick. When I get side effects from treatment versus feeling bad from something else, I can tell there's like a specific delineation in how my body feels and what it's telling me. And I know that sounds strange, but you're going to have to trust me on this one. Anyway, I don't get a ton of side effects anymore. It's been a couple months of really smooth sailing. That's probably why I haven't made an update to this, because it would be boring for me to go on there and say, well, I did another month of cancer treatment and nothing has changed. I take these pills every day and then I go to sleep and I'm able to kind of live my life. And I do think that the way that I've lived my life for the last 8 months has helped contribute to the minimal side effects. And actually, before I go there, I do want to talk about the one major side effect that I have experienced in the last few months, which has been fascinating, and that is my hair. So I have done three types of cancer treatment in the last 7 years. I've done single dose immunotherapy, dual dose immunotherapy, and now these PD-1 blockers. And all of them have, some sort of listed like your hair could change or fall out side effects. And my hair is thick. It is not going away. I'm not going bald. It is staying around for, whatever I have to do. At least I'm going to be arrogant and assume that for the time being. My hair has been relatively curly, but when it's long, it's been straight for the last 20 something years at least. And a couple months ago, my hair decided that it was going to become incredibly thick, incredibly coarse, and in these tight little coils. I don't know if you can see as I bend my head down, but I showed up to my barber 2 months ago and he asked me, he's like, what did you put in your hair? And I told him nothing. He said, your hair is radically different and I've never seen something change like this. So now I have to figure out how to grow this little mini fro. So that's been interesting at a minimum. And for sure, when I talk about these lack of side effects and now this one being the biggest one, I know that I'm super fortunate. Whenever I talk about this stuff, whenever I bring up that I am cruising through or not hitting these side effects, I hate to understand that there are going to be cancer patients out there on any type of treatment that see this and feel a little twinge of jealousy, because that is perfectly natural. Comparison sucks within trauma and cancer treatment and the side effects. It exists. It's very human. So when I describe this stuff, I'm never trying to rub it in. If you are going through cancer treatment and you're having shitty side effects, my heart does go out to you. I've had tons of them in the past. And just because I'm not experiencing them now does not mean that I'm trying to point out that I'm doing better than someone or anything. It's very, very arbitrary. Which segues poorly into what I'm going to say next. The lifestyle that I've been living. I just brought up that I've done 3 cancer treatments, and I kind of have a handle on what I need to do for my body to not be as prone to side effects in cancer treatment at this point in time. The 3 things I really focus on, both leading into treatment and during treatment, are how my diet is, how much I sleep, and how much I exercise. Because as far as my oncologist and researchers and other people who have gone through cancer treatment and my own anecdotal experience have informed me, those 3 things are about as much as you can do to control the outcome of your cancer treatment, or maybe limiting your stress, which I seem to do an okay job of too. But as it stands, I've been tracking the performance metrics of my body during cancer treatment, for lack of a better term. I'm chronicling how much I sleep, how much I eat, how much water I drink, when I work out, what my side effects are. And I'm drinking over 2 gallons of water a day. I'm sleeping over 9 hours a day, and I'm working out essentially 13 times a week right now, 5 or 6 of which are basketball. And then I do 5 or 6 days of mobility or yoga or stretching or light workouts when I'm not playing basketball. And when I'm talking about how fortunate I am not to have side effects, I also want to highlight how fortunate I am to have a life that allows me to do these things without decimating the structure of my work or my social life or my romantic relationship or my mental health in order to achieve these things. I have a pretty good setup. I have great support. I have done this enough times that my experience allows me to be a little bit more efficient. But that being said, I am proud of the protocol that I have used to get me these results as much as I can influence them, because as far as I know, it's mostly random. My body just happens to seem to do well on these drugs, and I'm very, very thankful for that. But I don't want to pretend like just because I'm going a little bit above and beyond to stay extra healthy that it's making all the difference. I know most people are taking cancer treatment very seriously and doing all the right things, and sometimes it just doesn't go well. And one day I might run into that, but for now, I do want to show people who are going through cancer treatment of any kind, because keep in mind, this is still on the tail end of 2 successful, quote unquote, successful immunotherapies. I had recurrences. They seem to be very unlikely. And now I am probably going to get through a 3rd round of these PD-1 blockers, pending, this ctDNA test that I took the other day, and 4 more months of doing the same routine that has not had any blips so far. So it's gone largely well, and I'd like to think that I'm doing my part. But again, a lot of it is luck. A lot of it is just how your body responds to these things. So given the approach that I just described, which is trying to do the right things for my body and my mental health during treatment, and then not dwelling too much on it going back or even looking forward, because at some point I'm never going to know whether my actions have directly contributed to some outcome. How much of it is the medicine, how much of it is my body, how much of it is random chance. We're always trying to do the right thing. I don't know any cancer patient who is trying to sabotage their case. So if I want to maintain that approach, that means the next 4 months should hopefully be a lot of the same. I have the results of this ctDNA test pending. It would be a real buster if that was positive. I've never had one come back positive, and I keep saying come back positive right now. So let's hope it comes back negative. That does seem likely, but it's metastatic melanoma. You never know. Past that, I'll have a scan in a few weeks, and then I will close out the remaining 4 months of this treatment, not 6 months. And I'll give you guys updates along the way. I still have a lot of things that I want to talk about in regard to my mental health during this time, the things that I use to supplement my lifestyle, my approach and protocol, but we're dragging on a little bit here. For now, I just want to say thank you again for tuning in and spending your time to watch my channel. It always helps me to talk about what I'm doing. It's very cathartic. It helps me kind of center myself again, because it is a little bit of a silo to do cancer treatment. No matter how good your support is in real life, no matter how much you are able to journal your thoughts, getting direct feedback from cancer patients and their loved ones both informs me about how I can live my life, and it also feels good to get positive feedback from people saying that this is valuable. Me giving updates about treatment, I think this is a really valuable thing to do, and if more patients are able to do this going forward, maybe we'll get better results. If nothing else, you watching and liking and sharing and subscribing and all the other, self-aggrandizing stuff that I get out of social media is contributing positively to my case, because like I said, it's reassuring to me, and I get to talk about my hair, and people get to say stupid things about me in response. So I will leave it at that. I promise I'll have more frequent updates going forward. I have a lot of exciting stuff in the world of cancer and my personal life, and I can't wait to share them, but we're going to have to wait because I am out of time. So until I talk to you next time, thanks again. Bye.